Welcome to this session on the spiritual significance of the letter Dalet. Dalet is the fourth letter of the Hebrew alphabet, so it represents the number 4. Now, Paleo-Hebrew is the very ancient picture before the letter, so the letter came from the picture. The Paleo-Hebrew pictogram for Dalet is the opening of a tent, which invites us to enter, and we're going to have a lot of fun with entering, all right? The Hebrew word for door is spelled exactly the same as the fourth letter Dalet, but with the different sound of Dalet, all right, which is, you see the connection between the letter Dalet, which represents the door, the opening of the door, Dalet, okay? As I was thinking of the doors in the temple, I made an exciting discovery based on recent archaeological evidence. And it was very, very exciting when I found it. Join me as I share with you what I discovered from the archaeology. Just look at the letter Dalet, just the formation of the letter Dalet, and then I'll show you the Paleo-Hebrew. The Paleo-Hebrew it represents the open door of a tent. So you see here the tent, and I've got the black lines to show you the open door of the tent. So what is the spiritual significance here? Well, Dalet represents entering into God's presence, which is very, very powerful. And we can't do it automatically. I say we have to knock on the door to be able to enter. Okay, we have to do something to be able to enter into God's presence. Now, I want to show you the two words that are translated door, and it's important that you know these Hebrew words because we're going to go into the construction of Solomon's temple, and you're going to have to know these two words. All right, one word here is petach. Petach means an opening. And then the other word is dalet, which is the physical door that opens and closes the opening. So what we have here is we have a picture of first the petach, which is the opening, and then we have dalet, which is the door that swings and opens and closes the opening, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you where I was working on the construction on Solomon's temple. So what we have here is, you're going to have to know a few more of these Hebrew words. Okay, the ayil means pillar, and so those are the vertical posts that create the door frame. Now, there's another word, mezuzah. Now, we think of we say mezuzah. Mezuzah in Hebrew, mezuzah is that little thing that you tack next to your door, and inside is a tiny little scroll of the Torah. But in this passage about the construction of Solomon's temple, it is used to mean the door frame. Now, let me show you. See the yellow? The door frame is the ayil plus the top, the lintel on the top, and so the mezuzah is that whole door frame. So you're going to have to know the ayil is the pillar, the mezuzah is that door frame. Now let's go into scripture and read about the construction of Solomon's temple. Okay, so we have here the entrance, which is petach, that's the opening of the inner sanctuary. That would be the Holy of Holies. That would be the Holy of Holies, and I know it's the Holy of Holies because of the 5-sided doorposts. So let's read it. The inner sanctuary, which is the Holy of Holies, Solomon made doors. Now the doors are the dalet, the plural is daltot, and I put the dalet in red, but the plural is daltot. And those doors were made of olive wood. Now the lintel is the ayil, that's that pillar. And there are the 5-sided doorposts, and that's the mezuzot. If you read Hebrew, read from right to left, mezuzot chamishit. If you can't read Hebrew, look down at the transliteration, mezuzot chamishit. Chamesh is the number 5, so it's 5 doorposts. What you have are 5 doorposts. Now hang with me, I'm going to show you what I discovered. Now let's take a look at a diagram of the temple. We have here the porch, all right? And there are those 2 columns in the porch. And so you start by going into the porch. Then you come to the holy place. And finally you enter into the Holy of Holies. Okay? Now, let me give you the Hebrew words here because they're really powerful. The porch is the ulam, which means to lead or be first. The holy place, now this is important, is the hechal, which can either mean a palace or a temple. Here it means the temple, because that middle portion is where the worship took place. It did not take place in the porch. It did not take place in God's presence. It took place in the middle portion, the holy place. That's where the worship took place. There were the bread and the lampstand and the incense, and that was the place of worship in the Heichal. That was the holy place. Now, the Holy of Holies is very interesting. It was called the Devir, which is the place of speaking, because that was where God's presence was, and you speak with God. Okay, now let's go back to the description of Solomon's temple. Also, Solomon made for the entrance, that's the Petach of the nave. Now, the nave is the Heichal. That's that middle portion, the holy place in the middle. He made for there 4-sided doorposts of olive wood and 2 doors, and the doors of the Dalet of cypress wood. And then it continues, leaves are kala, which are curtains. They're hanging curtains of 1 door, and that's ha-dalet. Ha-ahat is the number 1. And the adjective comes after the noun in Hebrew. So we get ha-dalet, ha-ahat, which is door 1, all right? And that door turned on pivots, all right? And then the 2 curtains, the 2 leaves, the 2 curtains would hang in front of the door, and the 2 curtains of the other door, which is ha-dalet, ha-shani. Shani is the number 2. Okay, so door number 2. And that door number 2 turned on pivots. And Solomon had carved on it cherubim, palm trees, and open flowers, and he overlaid them with gold. I mean, I just want you to use your imagination and imagine how incredibly spectacular it would have been. Now, here's a drawing here, and there's on the right side, the larger portion is the holy place, and then you go into the smaller portion, which is the Holy of Holies, where God's presence was. And what you see here are the 2 curtains. Now, it doesn't show the doors. The doors would have been behind the curtains, all right? Now, here's what I was just reading a report on archaeology that had been done at Khirbet Qeiyafa, and what they discovered there, what they uncovered, it was apparently a place of worship, and what they discovered was this model of the door frame going into, it would have been into the holy place, because there were 4 door frames. The mezuzot are those door frames, and they're recessed in to make 4 different door frames. All right. No one understood the description of Solomon's temple until this archaeology. So you have the 4 recessed door frames, and the 4 go into the holy place. They go into the holy place. Now, let me take you back again to the diagram of the temple. So what you have here is you have the 3 recessed door frames. Let me see what I did. I'm not sure what I did here. Oh, yes, here, let me show you. Okay, there's the number 3. So there are 3 recessed door frames going into the porch. There are 4 recessed door frames going into the holy place. There are 5 recessed door frames going into the Holy of Holies. And there is a curtain. Now, there's also a curtain in front of number 3. I didn't put it there, but there's a curtain in front of all of the doors. Now, why does it go from 3 to a higher number 4 to a higher number 5? My suggestion is just my thought here is that it's easy to come into the porch. It gets harder to go into, to be the priest who goes in to serve in the holy place. And it's even harder to come into God's presence, because as you approach God, you have to become more and more and more righteous. So that's just my thoughts. Now, let's look at how to come into God's presence. This is the important thing. We read, when Adam and Eve heard the sound of the Lord God walking in the garden in the cool of the day, they hid themselves from the presence of the Lord. And that's because they were sinners, and they couldn't come into God's presence in sin or they'd die, right? So what we have here is the temple is instructing us how to come into God's presence. We have here, this is the showbread, the matzah, the 12 loaves of unleavened bread. We have the lampstand, which is the only thing that gives light in the holy place. And then we have the altar of incense, that sweet aroma that floats up to God. And then behind that is the curtain. And then behind the curtain would be the 5 recessed door frame, mezuzot, going into the Holy of Holies, into God's presence. So, how do we come into God's presence? Well, Christ did not enter a holy place made with hands, but into heaven itself, now to appear in the presence of God for us. So, if we make Yeshua Lord in our lives and obey and follow him, he's the one who brings us into the presence of God the Father. So draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. What a wonderful thing to draw closer and closer to God in your life by making Yeshua Lord. A wonderful thing. So if you want to do more and draw near to God and learn more, I suggest you go to BibleInteract.com. We have a lot of things on our website, and especially since you're interested in Hebrew letters, you're probably interested in our Hebraic studies and the biblical languages, Hebrew and Greek. We do have a course in reading biblical Hebrew. Actually, there are 3 courses, beginner, intermediate, and advanced. And just go to BibleInteract.com, and you'll find more information on those courses. And remember, there's a discount for partners and for premium members. And with that, I wish you shalom.